Sure. So do you want us
I make the motion.
I don't know. It's the very last minute. Okay. Alright, I call to order the regular council meeting of Wednesday, February 21st, 2024. Moving on to item number 2, adoption of agenda 2.1, recommendation that the council adopts the agenda. Seconded by Councillor Wall. Any discussion regarding the agenda? No? Okay. All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Thank you very much. Item number 3, adoption of minutes. 3.1, recommendation that council adopts the minutes from the regular council meeting held on January 17th, 2024. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Johnston, thank you. Any discussion regarding those minutes? None? Okay. All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Thank you very much. 3.2, recommendation that council adopts the minutes from the regular council meeting held on February 7th, 2024. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Wall, thank you very much. Any discussion? Councillor Neville?
On page 2, which in this agenda would be page 15, regarding the interim financial report, do we have an answer for the accumulated surplus on Schedule A and what that pertains to?
Oh, and I see Councillor Wall also had a question. Then was your question answered regarding that as well?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Ms. Stokes? Nope. Ms. McCann?
Page 15.
The $1 was a minor error.
And then question number 2 was from Councillor Gravel regarding the accumulated surplus on the schedule.
The previous was for previous years, and the actuals for that year were for the year. Due to the small, or the 853,000 from
The provincial.
growing community.
Yeah. Councillor Gravel?
So the accumulated surplus is simply just surpluses accumulated over previous years,
yeah.
but not the actual fiscal, just because it
The
had
next line was the actual fiscal.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that clarification. Any other discussion? Councillor Wall?
So when it comes to the actual fiscal from last year, did we have any surplus or deficit?
We have to put it up.
I have to look at it. No, it was a surplus.
Yes. We were just looking
Previous
at
year?
Won't be in the previous agenda.
It was the previous year.
Uh-huh.
It was previous. There was a line item. The one was the previous years, and then there was the current years.
Hang on, I'm just pulling it up here. Just give me 2 seconds. No, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, that would be on the previous agenda, which staff does not have currently in front of them, so they're gonna have to bring that back to you.
Okay.
So that they can give you the exact number. I don't like to throw out just to be sure, so, yeah.
Could you repeat the question, please?
What was the annual, or what was the surplus or deficit last year? So you're saying we're in a surplus, do we know how much that was?
You want the surplus for 2023.
Correct. As we go into budgeting, I want to have always.
Okay. All right, so staff will get that back to you. Thank you very much. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Thank you very much. Introduction of late items. We have late item 7.7, Legion resolution to provide the council with the report for Legion. So can I get a seconder? Councillor Wall, thank you. Okay, any discussion on the late item? Councillor Wall? We can't bring it forward yet.
Not now.
I'm just going to talk about it.
Oh,
Not now.
no, it's 7.7.
When it comes up in the agenda.
I know. It's
It's just
killing you.
You're just introducing a late item, that's it for now.
Oh, then we don't have discussion.
Nope. At 7.7, you can.
When it comes up in 7.7.
That's why I was like, whoop, this way. Yeah, at 7.7, you'll be on it. I'll be staring directly at you. Okay? All those in favor? Unanimously carried, thank you very much. Okay, item number 5, delegations, 5.1 recommendations.
That council here's the delegation from Jennifer Pringle.
Seconded by Councillor Whittle, thank you. All right, Ms. Pringle, the floor is yours. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
So, a friend of my dad's made this for my little sister, and it doesn't meet the bylaws. I didn't realize this would make me so upset, but we just needed a variance, so I thought if we brought it and you could see it, because I don't know why it didn't meet the bylaws, and I don't really care why, I just thought we went and looked, and it would work in there. The base will be cement, so it'll be in the ground.
It's a beautiful piece. It is absolutely beautiful.
So that's all I wanted to request.
So how the delegations normally work is somebody will present, and then once that person has left and the delegation has then ended, council will then make their decision or vote. And so what will happen is one of our staff members will contact you tomorrow and let you know what the
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. Do you have a question, Councilor Wall?
Yes, I do. My question is, you're trying to use that as a headstone in the cemetery?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that.
The variance because it's too tall, or is it?
I was giving you. Let's go.
Well, I measured the other ones and it's,
Excuse me. Our bylaw states that they need to be marble or stone. So when people design differently, they have, it's not a variance. It's just asking permission to put it
And
in
the
the
base will
cemetery.
be cement on it?
He's got all the bases conform properly, and I have spoken to Public Works, and they don't have a problem with it.
So it's just adding in the new headstone. Okay. At the end, after both the delegations. Okay. Sounds wonderful. Okay. Any other questions for Ms. Pringle before we move on? Oh, my phone went off. Sorry about that. None? Okay, so we're going to move on to recommendation 5.2.
Recommend the council here's the delegation from Adam Rollick of Ovinda.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Wall. Thanks very much. Good evening, Adam. Very nice to see you again.
Good evening, councillors and your worship. So, just a little bit, I mean, everybody I think knows me, but if you don't, I'm Adam Rollick. I'm Community Relations for Ovinda. So, in the past, you know, I think we used to present to Mayor and Council as well as the regional district in the city of Dawson Creek. You know, pre-COVID. Post-COVID, you know, I think we got away from doing those things. This is the first time for myself to be here. So this is something we're going to try and do as a company, just increase transparency, just make you guys a little bit easier if you guys are having constituents come up and ask. If you have any questions, you guys know how to contact me and what we're looking at. So if you guys have your papers in front of you, so the first one I have on here is our 2024 and our 2025 program and our highlights. So what is kind of pertinent to you guys would be if you look at the map here, we have in the green would be our 2024 pad locations. The orange are our 2025 pad locations, and what of interest is the stars, our new disturbance pads. So for the past few years, just with some of the challenging with permits, we've been drilling mainly on all leases that have already been completed. So these ones are going to be new disturbance. So you know, with that comes challenges, so we wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of it. You have two of the new paths that are, you know, relatively close to Poos. So the one is the 3 of 12, 77, 14 west of 6. So that one's planned for 2025, and it's on the 213 road. So if you take the block line road 200, and then you'd go north on the 213. The other one that's a new pad is the 7 of 10, 77, 14, so that one's going to be off the Arndt Road and close to our 7 of 15 location where we have already been drilling and completing before. It is listed as a 2024 program. So 15 of 7, we've already drilled. That's the one, again, off the Block Line Road. So that one we've drilled, we're going to complete, I believe, next month. So we'll have some increased trucking. You know, we always make sure to notify the community before we start that work, as well as people before the drilling, post and pre. The 10 of 35 is also on the 2024, but it's I think it's actually closer to Dawson. I don't think you guys should have much effect for you guys. It's more of for the city council for Dawson Creek. Obviously, all these are subject to change. We've proven that we're an agile company that can pivot as the markets do. So some of these have, they weren't originally planned, and we fast forwarded. So I think it's important that we try to have this increased transparency for you guys. The next slide, unless you guys have any questions on that one, I don't know if you want to do it after or while I've got this map in your hands. Any questions on that?
Any questions? Councilor Rebel?
Relative to the map, where exactly is Poos, sorry?
Yeah, so you're kind of in the, what is it, the 8 block there, I believe. It's hard to, if it was on the screen, you could see it a little bit easier.
Kind of right in.
Right in here, okay.
Oh, there's a bigger one.
Yeah,
Right here.
Yeah, you kind of had Dawson when it comes through the highway, and so
Okay.
the yellow is our mineral rights. So obviously we don't have rights underneath you guys. So it's kind of so good for us.
And so with this drilling, so this is drilling new wells, I'm assuming?
Yep,
And-
so we have a 69 well program for 2024. Now with that, we're drilling on 11 surface locations. So it's not like we have 69 new leases, it's only on 11 surface locations. And then 4 of those pads are the new disturbance, but only 2 really affect you guys in this area. The other ones are gonna be obviously in the Tower area as well, Farmington.
And then this might be like a newbie not knowing what they're talking about question, but so are these sour wells that you're?
The majority of wells, it all depends. Now I know some of the areas we have seen some sour. We always license to I think 1% sour, just out of abundance of caution as our company, just because if the gas composition does change over time and you've only licensed to a sweet pipeline, you've built things for the sweet, where it's just proven to be better to license for sour. So yeah, but
I know that is often one of the concerns.
yeah, for sure. And really, I mean, I don't think that they're expected to be that sour, but there's always some in there, right? So that's why we usually license to 1%, but I don't know the exact composition we can expect. Anything else for that?
Other than I'm choking on my coffee, no, it's fine.
I took your breath away.
You totally did, Adam, that was wonderful.
So the next slide that I have, mainly it was just for an awareness for everybody, because I feel that some of the challenges we've faced over the past years as well as the foreseeable future, it makes companies when looking to invest in a capital project, we are looking for certain things that right now, we feel the current federal and provincial policy environment has been a little bit challenging, to say the least. I know they've got them on here. We've been unpredictable provincial permitting processes and extended timelines. Everything's longer now, right? So we've had to really be proactive and expand lots of our timelines, which has been a challenge. There's obviously maintaining a workable landscape in the context of overlapping environmental policies around biodiversity, ecosystems, land use, and water remains a challenge. It's no secret with the challenges with the drought this year. Luckily our company is one that has been ahead of the curve. We saw the writing on the wall that sustainable water practices is going to be a must. We've heard that time and time again, so we started doing that infrastructure years ago. Which is saving us now, but it's always going to be a challenge, obviously. And then obviously the last one on there, just the overlapping, duplicative, and often unworkable federal and provincial climate policy with moving targets. So I mean, it's no secret that every time we turn on our computer, there's a new policy or a new update, which means on our end for applying for permits and everything, it's just really, as a big company with multi-employee assets, if it does get too challenging, there's a chance that the companies will say, we're going to drill in the US or in an area where it might be a little easier to get permits, because we need that accountability that we can do it. Because if we have that capital set aside for it and then we can't use it, it ends up getting lost, and it's our, the shareholders and everything. So just more of an awareness for everybody. And then the last slide, just so you guys are aware, just some of the neat things that we've done in the community last year. It's no secret, I try and get Poos a lot of the piece of the pie. I saw you at the food bank, the fire hall. You know, the
Legion.
Legion, you know, you know, we're constantly trying to give back to the community. In the next one, what I'd like to do is once our sustainability report has been released, I'd like to bring it in and then have exact numbers of, you know, this is how much we put back into the BCPs, just so if anybody ever asks, you know, what we're doing in the community, you guys have that on hand.
That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, other than that, how was that, 10 minutes? Was that?
Yeah, that was pretty
timely?
good.
Sorry.
I'm used to a hook.
Yeah, no, this sounds, you know, it's good that business is sort of moving forward and that, you know, we are seeing new plans within the area happening, which is really nice. It's nice to see that bit of an uptick in oil and gas, especially in this area. And, you know, Ovintiv has been very, very good to Pouce Coupe. Again, as you had said, between the roof on the Legion and the donation to our Pouce Coupe Fire Hall and our Pouce Coupe Food Bank. So we always love seeing you. It's really, really great to have you kind of come out. And I think it would be great to be doing more of these as well.
Yeah, well, and so I do plan to be back. And if there's ever any initiatives, you know, feel free to reach out to me. You ever have any people reaching out, they have questions and they don't know what's going on in the area, you know, feel free to share my contact anytime. You know, I'm always trying to be there for the community, so.
That'd be wonderful. Councilor Wong?
I do have one question. Are any of these new pad site proposals here going to be permanent employment, or is it just like temporary drilling and then nobody's there?
Yeah, so right now, none of the ones that we have on that list are for compressor stations, or like, you know, stations where we process it. So how it works is we'll come in, we'll develop the pad, we'll drill. Usually, you know, you license them for 20 wells per pad type of thing. We won't do that all at one time. We'll come in, we'll drill, you know, 4 to 6 wells. Then we do the completions area of it, where we go into, you know, we hydraulic fracture as well as the slick lining. We bring them onto production, put them through permanent facilities, and then pipeline into our existing infrastructure. So, so nothing that's planned for now is, but it also, you know, it supplies the operators that are, you know, I know a few are in the area, right? Local to the Pouce Coupe area code.
Yeah.
So in that way, we keep that existing work that's permanent for the operations, maintenance, that sort of stuff, instrumentation, trades. But the drilling, the completions, all that is usually, you know, kind of transient, whatever, you know, route is coming. So.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? All right, well, it was lovely seeing you.
Yeah, I'm gonna sneak out. I was gonna sit and wait, but I heard you guys go till 9 sometime. Hey, why was it quiet? So you guys, you're really special because it's time.
No worries, thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.
You as well, thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. Councilor Wong.
Can I make a motion for Ms. Pringle?
Yes, you may.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we allow Ms. Pringle to use that headstone in our cemetery. Second.
Seconded by Councilor Woodall, thank you. Any discussion? Councilor Ravel?
I understand that there are the bylaws, but it appears as though this person had to go through some additional grieving potentially in order to get this. But I wonder how in the future we could help prevent that. That would probably require, you know, updating the bylaw to encourage other things. I understand there's an aesthetic idea going on, but anyways, I feel very sorry for that person that they had to go through potentially additional grieving through this process.
Yeah, part of it ties into the upkeep and the weed whacking and the lawn mowing, and so that's sort of why the bylaw is the way that it is, but then, you know, that does give us, as council, the opportunity to allow these things going forward, so. Yes, Councilor Ravel.
And so this is a permanent exemption? This won't have to be renewed every 3 years and then only renewed once? Like it's a permanent forever?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's being permanently set into the spot that it's being put in. Yeah. And Public Works has already made sure that they can continue to do grade maintenance around it, and all of that has sort of been taken care of. And so it's just really on council to decide if they're willing to allow the permit for it.
I think it's beautiful headstone.
Yeah, no, it is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous and carried, wonderful, thank you very much. Alrighty. Item number 6, unfinished business and business arising from the minutes
Recommend that council approve the letter of support for the legislative reform initiative.
Seconded by Councillor Woodall, thank you very much. Okay, discussion? Councillor Wall?
I'm a little bit confused about what this is exactly. I know that's not really a question, but if
Yeah.
you have a better, someone here has to have a better understanding.
Yeah, and so this is regarding, we had said that we would like to send a letter of support regarding, this was from, hang on, I just gotta read it. Local government from, yes, Councillor Rebel.
If I may, I was the one who kind of pushed this last time. City of Nanaimo resolution reforming the Local Government Act to assist regional districts in kind of their legislative task and kind of navigating how to better, legislate their activities and their powers to help them do what's expected of them now, where they are dealing with legislation that's rather old.
Oh, that was a few, oh yeah, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
I was like, who brought this one forward? I couldn't remember if it was you or him.
It wasn't me, I didn't know it was.
I know, well, as soon as you said that, I was like, was not him. Okay, thank you for the context, Councillor Rebel. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? So, that was to approve it and send it forward, right? The motion? Yes, thank you. Okay, I'm just double checking. Okay, 6.2 recommendation?
Recommend that council approves the letter of support for Bill 34.
Councillor Rebel, thank you very much. Discussion? I'm moving on my windows. None? Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Okay. 6.3 recommendation.
The council approves the letter of support for the city of Fort St. John.
Can I get a seconder? Councillor Johnston, thank you. I have a comment I'd like to make. So this is that letter going out forward to Minister Farnsworth, and I do greatly appreciate the work and the time that was spent on this letter. But I just feel that compared to the other letter that we had written to Minister Farnsworth, that this one was sort of missing some of that more explanation bit. So it's a bit short, and it appears more like a memo than sort of a letter of support. And so, is there a way that we could take some of the context from our other letter to Minister Farnsworth to Dawson Creek and work that information into this letter? Because we've already kind of written one. So this one is in support of the letter of Fort St. John. I know I'm like...
No, the letter for Fort St. John didn't get approved because I only had 2 people answer yes. So they never got the letter.
Oh.
Oh, for Dawson Creek.
Or for Dawson, sorry.
Dawson Creek never got the letter? Oh.
I think you and I were the only ones.
No, I replied yes on that.
I
You replied yes to the first letter.
There was like a whole
There
stream.
was a revised letter
Oh, I
sent
sent
out.
a stream of 16 emails.
Oh.
So it got lost in email, so I did reply yes to it, and then there was a whole lot
It
of.
can still be forwarded to Minister Farnsworth.
Okay. Right.
I can still get it to him.
the change I suggested in the letter though wasn't.
It does count as a revision though, technically.
It was done.
Yeah.
I still would like the line for,
The gun violence.
gun violence
Yeah.
on the beginning of the 3rd or 4th paragraph.
I did change it.
Yeah.
That's what we revised and sent out.
Yeah. For,
In the email I received, it was sent back the same.
okay. Councillor Rebel?
If the first vote was missed, maybe we pile in with the second vote. Maybe we combine the 2 letters to express the same kind of intent, and that becomes the Fort St. John support letter.
Either way.
So rather than having the 1, we could have the 2 and then forward it on behalf of support of Dawson Creek and Fort St. John. Ms. Stokes?
But if council just makes a motion to redo the letter and send it out via email for voting.
I know we tried voting email last time and it obviously didn't work out very well. Only 2 people
Well,
responded.
this isn't working either.
I think
Councillor Whittle?
sending it over email is fine, but it's when we get this email train of comments and everything else that I honestly did not see the next letter come out to be re-voted on. So I think if we send that out we need to send that separate in the chain with everybody's comments, or make it very clear that, hey, we need to re-vote on this, because I did see the initial email, read through the letter, thought it was great, I approved it, and then there was a whole stream of comments, and I had lost that we needed to re-vote on that. So, to my understanding, there was 3 yeses that I had seen through the emails that had come through. So,
Councillor Wall?
So I just had one small change, and then I was in favor of it. So, do we know when the deadline is to send this letter to Fort St. John?
Well, the letter to Fort St. John is fine. The deadline for the letter of Dawson Creek was February 17th.
That's why we were doing this last week. Is there enough time for us to have an email chain to go over the letter for Fort St. John, and then bring it to council, have it presentable, and bring it back to us for us to vote in the public meeting next time? So that we're not voting over email and it's not confusing. We work on it over email, we bring it, and we vote on it in public. And then it won't be so confusing.
Well, I'm just wondering if maybe Ms. Stokes, because this letter's, the Dawson Creek letter is technically not on this agenda, so we're not really able to vote on it. Again, it is something that council had wished to have out, and it was just a slight revision. If we could hold the vote for the letter of the Dawson Creek letter this evening, even though it's not on the agenda, what would be the protocol behind doing that?
Does everybody remember what the letter says?
I can pull up the letter and read it. Just give me 2 seconds here. Because they are currently down there. Yes, Councilor.
It just seems like there's a bit of a miscommunication there, but we're fortunate enough to have a second opportunity to provide a very similar letter to Fort St. John, who's going to be meeting with the same minister. So either way, our voices will be heard.
I'm just looking for the revised letter. Please see the revised letter and answer yes or no. So the revised letter was for February 13th to Minister Farnsworth. Dear Honorable Minister Farnsworth, the Village of Poughkeepsie is writing to you today to provide additional support to the City of Dawson Creek, representing the concerns of their residents and the entire Peace region. Crime has been a growing issue in our region, and in the past 18 months has impacted with a ripple effect on the surrounding communities. Crime is now a concern of every resident in every northern community in the Peace region. Our community of Poughkeepsie has a population of less than 800 people and is located 15 kilometers south of Dawson Creek. We have families and seniors who'd like to have public transport between Dawson Creek and Poughkeepsie, but they are afraid of allowing public transport between our communities out of fear that it would bring even more violence to our doorstep. Living in a small village where neighbors are more like family, residents should not have to fear for their safety while out on the streets of their own community. Sadly, we face a harsh reality of an increase of missing, murdered, and targeted individuals in our shared region. The community's fears are relevant, as in the past year, 4 individuals have gone missing and innumerable murdered. Darylyn Supernant, a mother and a young woman went missing last April. Renee, I'm going to say this last name wrong, Deidre? No. A mother and family member of Darylyn went missing after enjoying a night out with friends, and most recently, Cole Hozak, a young father visiting our area for one evening on New Year's Eve, is missing. This young man, like most on that night, went out to ring in the new year with friends and sadly has not been seen since. Gun violence in the surrounding communities has also increased, and while the incidents were targeted shootings in the community, there were casualties of innocent people. These were innocent people sitting in their homes on evenings when a drive-by shooting took place and bullets ricocheted through their homes. Furthermore, innocent people riding their bikes in the community were caught between acts of gun violence. That is not the right one.
It's not this letter.
No, because that has changed. That's the paragraph that you were referring to.
Yeah, so for gun violence, because right now the provincial government is on side with the federals trying to limit firearms possession for hunting and things like that.
Yeah, it was illegally
possessed firearms, violence with illegally possessed firearms, because all of the gun violence that has occurred in our region has been from people who do not have a PAL and do not have the right to own a firearm. If that makes sense.
I have the revised version on my computer that has the change to that. It's right here. Hang on. Dear Honorable Minister Farnsworth. So it changed to. Maybe I don't have it on here either. Ms. Stokes, I'm not too sure what direction to proceed with this one, because I would like that letter for Dawson Creek to be voted on and sent forth as soon as possible.
I can send it out tomorrow morning if everyone wants to vote on it, and if they're still down there, I can send it to the CAO. And it'll still get.
Okay. How does council feel about that? So this would be that revised one that has.
And then the letter can be brought to the next council meeting so everyone can see what it says.
Yeah. And then.
Information.
And then with the letter for Fort St. John, is there a way that we could take some of that information and,
Yes, take a motion to revise the letter.
thank you.
I'll make the motion.
Oh, you beat me too, look at you.
I'll make the motion to send the letter to Dawson Creek with the revision that at the beginning of whatever paragraph that is, change gun violence to violence with illegally possessed firearms.
Does that work, Ms. Stokes?
Okay, that's about the Dawson Creek one.
Yes.
Yeah, we were talking about.
Yes.
St. John.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Does that work for that motion with that change?
Yes.
Okay, can I get a seconder on that? Councillor Whittle, thank you. Any discussion regarding the letter to Dawson Creek with that change? All those in favor? Unanimous and carried, thank you. I'd like to put the motion on the floor that this current letter to the Minister Farnsworth, that is reiterating what the city of Fort St. John is currently going through, be revised to incorporate some of the information that's going out in our Dawson Creek letter and be brought before council at the next council meeting. Can I get a seconder on that? Councillor Wall, thank you.
Yeah.
Just by a hair. Okay, any discussion on that? All those in favor? Unanimous and carried, thank you very much. Okay, number 7, new business, 7.1.
The council grants the renewal of the temporary use permit for the use of buildings located at 5110 52nd Avenue, Poughkeepsie, British Columbia for professional offices for the period of 3 years.
Seconded by Councillor Whittle. I have a question regarding this, Ms. Stokes. This temporary use permit, I was a little bit confused when I read it. So if approved, this temporary use permit is for the prospective buyer? Or is this because this temporary use permit is needed because it was under the old, like, is this the old temporary use permit that the CRS had and now it's up for renewal? Ms. Stokes?
What happened was this building was purchased by somebody else, and due to the zoning, it couldn't be used for what the people wanted, so they got a temporary use permit, which is the speech business that's in there. Right now, it's currently rented. The owner thinks that it will be going up for sale in the next 3 years and is not interested in changing the zoning or paying to have the zoning changed, so he's asking for an extension on the temporary use permit for another 3 years, at which time they will have to decide what they're doing.
Okay, and this works with the business that's currently in?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, that was all the clarification I was looking for. Councillor Wall?
From my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, a temporary use permit can be extended only one time, and it can't be longer than a period of 3 years? That's what
The
provincial
first one is
is.
3 years, and then it can be extended for an additional 3 years. The maximum is 6 years.
The maximum is 6 years, and this hasn't been extended previous.
No, this is the first extension.
Is that your same question?
That was my same question, because it's in, I think, 498 or something.
Okay. All right, any other discussion regarding that? Okay, all those in favor of approving the temporary use permit? Unanimous and carried, thank you very much. Okay, 7.2 recommendation. That council received policy 9.8 alcohol permitting on the village property for discussion. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Rabble, thank you very much. Discussion? Councillor Rabble?
I do appreciate that this has come before council. However, the intent I had indicated in August 2023, when I had, begun looking into this and then passing it along to staff, was kind of a broader scope than what's been presented here. The special event permit, as per the provincial government, this doesn't have the breadth that I was hoping to see here. So the one that I really have appreciated in my research was the City of Prince George's municipal alcohol service, and essentially with their policy, They essentially consider things like insurance, security, bar requirements and operations, safe transportation after the event, signs, accountability, advertising. There's a lot of pieces here that I'd like considered within this policy. I understand the limitations, but the heart, the intent of this policy from my perspective would be that it gives somebody who's interested in hosting an event of say 15 or more people the ability to navigate the requirements specifically on the village's end, and that when these events like a block party or something in the park or something, you know, wherever it may be, baseball diamonds, who knows. Anyways, it's easy to navigate and it mitigates negative health impacts and nuisance impacts. And I don't feel this policy as presented goes to the depth required to alleviate that.
So Councillor Ravel, am I understanding correctly that you would like to put the motion on the floor that this be revised to reflect the policy that Prince George is currently using?
Yes.
So that's the motion you'd like to make?
Well, I certainly can. I just wanted to discuss this, well, it's come to us as discussion, so if you give me the privilege of making a motion, then I do. Therefore, I make the motion that...
Ms. Stokes?
Before we go on to make motions, I reached out to all of the municipalities in this area. Nobody has a policy for alcohol permitting. We're not a city, we're a village. And all that's required of any community now is they have to get the blessing of council, and everything falls under the BC Liquor Board. Under special event permits, no matter what the size.
Councillor Wall?
I was under the impression that this alcohol policy here was to allow safe consumption of alcohol in the park and to allow people to have events and things like that without the need to come to council, as the motion, that was part of the motion that was presented in August of last year. And through the email chain, I know myself and Councillor Ravel did send additional information regarding Prince George, Kamloops, Vernon, and Nanaimo.
Again, we're not a city.
The Local Government Act still applies to any municipality, and the British Columbia Liquor Board applies across the province regardless of where you are. So to me, it's almost irrelevant that we're not a city or that other municipalities around us don't have it, because we're not the first to propose such a policy, and the rules still apply to us whether we're a city or a village.
Councillor Ravel, you are within your right to make your motion that you were about to make.
So, thank you, Mayor. I make the motion that this alcohol permitting on village property policy be amended to include the factors considered within, for example, the City of Prince George's municipal alcohol service policy, issues like insurance, security, safe transportation, signage, and accountability, as well as liability. I think these are important features.
Can I get a seconder? Councillor Wall, thank you. Is there any discussion regarding the motion that Councillor Ravel just made?
Can I see that?
Yeah, of course.
Councillor Ravel?
I never want to do the bare minimum. I want to have a vibrant community that people can have fun events that are within safe means and that do not cause nuisance to other property owners. I believe that Pouce Coupe is a vibrant community, and that when we consider ourselves a place where people can have fun and enjoy themselves, but in a manner that is agreeable to all the people living around them as much as possible, with everyone living, you know, relatively close together. I think we have an opportunity here to give folks who want to plan events, who want to engage in recreation, who want to do fun, cool, interesting things. You know, what if disc golf, for example, wanted to do some sort of barbecue and, you know, wanted to do alcohol? Not specifically mentioning any specific groups, I'm saying that the activity itself is sports related. Anyways, I think there should be ways that we bring folks under the umbrella of mitigating negative health impacts and mitigating nuisance, where people can still absolutely have fun. And that process is simply laid out for the sake of council and for the sake of staff and the municipality and the people that live here as well.
I know when I was reading this, I did definitely have some of my own questions coming up regarding about making it clear that this policy in no way is opening up the village to liability, driving incidents, deaths, property damage, as well as looking at nuisance. And so, you know, I know that you had mentioned that the Prince George bylaw does have, well, permitting does have that sort of built within it. And so I appreciate your motion and you know, I think having the product in front of you to explain what you're trying to get across is definitely a much easier way to do it. Councillor Wall.
Elaborating on Councillor Ravel's point there as well. Right now, if let's say you are, pretend it's a hot August day, you walk down to the park on the river there, and you know, it's a crime to sit there with your feet in the water and have cider, right? That's illegal. And I don't see that being an offense. Like for someone to go down there and have a picnic or whatever, have 1 or 2 alcoholic beverages and not be a nuisance. We already have bylaw for that. So to me, it's also about expanding what we're allowing people to do in their own community. We do have a beautiful park on the river, and we're surrounded by this beautiful nature. And sometimes people's yards are kind of small, and you don't want to sit in your yard in the summertime when it's plus 30, right? So I think adding that aspect to it as well, and other cities have been doing that. Like the city of Vancouver has a big long list of over 40 parks that are allowed to drink at any time. I don't want to go that far. but
You're one person and one beer can turn into 50 people and 300 beers.
But that's why
I'm just saying it just opens it wide open.
Yeah, and so where this one does appear to be a bit tighter.
Yes, so I'm looking for that kind of middle ground between the two, where you can enjoy yourself and have one and not be like a problem, but if you're having an event, you still need the permits and whatnot.
That's mistakes.
What about the legal liabilities and the village insurance? Are you willing to pay more insurance to let people roam around with alcohol?
Councillor Wall?
Because that will have to be taken into consideration.
Has staff reached out to other municipalities with similar policies about their insurance rates increasing? Because as
There
far as
is
I
no
know,
similar policies in this area, and we only deal in the north. So I will look into it.
Yes, and if we could let Councillor Wall please finish his sentence, thank you.
Other municipalities in BC have done it, and my question is whether or not staff has reached out to ones that have this policy, such as Prince George, to see how much their insurance has increased.
I think that this is sort of step one as well, like we can start here, and then once we get the next policy brought forward, then it can sort of begin a much larger process. It'll obviously involve much more looking into, but step one would definitely be starting here and then branching out.
Most of these other cities have policing with them too, and we have none.
Yes, well, that is definitely.
Yeah, so we'll get them to come out for incidents like.
Yeah, well, and then that's very well something, like, once the policy is revised, if council sees that it does meet the specifications of what they're looking for, then it's within their right to, you know, vote in favor or against. I think, as I had stated, step one is definitely looking into it and tightening up a bit more, and if this is something council feels it would like to go forward with, there's that option, and then if not, you know, that is a vote of council. Councillor Rebel.
Although I do appreciate Councillor Wall's indication here, if I may constrain it, the intent with the policy is that it's special event permitting on village property. The individual piece, what I'm simply asking for as a start is special permitting of events, and increasing the scope of considerations that one must take with this. I understand where you're coming from, but I don't know if that is covered under the specific policy that I'm going for here. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're step one. I'm talking step 3 or 4, like down the road. But leaving it open for that.
Well, this discussion has worked out quite well, because it's giving Councillor Whittle a lot of time
to go through this.
to go through it. So this has actually worked out really quite well, which is why I've just been sort of letting it go. Because he's been reading, and I would definitely like to make sure that everybody is aware of exactly what Councillor Rattle is bringing forward.
There is some stuff in here actually I really do like.
Yeah. So that's what okay, so any discussion regarding the motion that Councillor Rattle made, which will be using this as a bit of an outlay? None. All those in favor of the motion made? Unanimous and carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to recommendation 7.3.
The council received the draft policy on asset retirement obligations for information and discussion.
Seconder? Councillor Johnston, thank you. You were like half ready.
I was like,
Ms. McNair, question, I think this one will go to you. I'm assuming that this is in line with our asset management plan, which is overall complete but is an ongoing, it's a working document, right?
Correct.
So this is sort of tying in with that, hey?
Yes,
Yes.
it's new reporting requirements. that
Okay.
come down from the government.
Yeah, because we've completed the asset management. Well, you don't ever complete it, but it's an always working document. Yeah, okay, perfect,
It's
thank you.
just setting up the financial obligations for
Yeah.
end of life on assets.
Okay, wonderful, thank you, I just wanted to clarify that. Any other questions? Councillor Rattle?
so I get where this is coming from, the asset retirement, and then the obligation is on the village, like, you know, this gasoline vehicle, and we have to properly
Mainly to do with
recycle it.
asbestos,
Old
poisonous
buildings.
substances, yes.
I don't think we have any landfills.
We do not,
Thank goodness.
but we have to determine that in the policy.
I apologize. To clarify though, my question would be, this would be a long-term liability, like it's permanent now, and we are forced to take this on ourselves, or it's already something that is on us, we're simply just putting it in a policy form?
Yes, and we will need to start setting money aside to meet the obligation.
Councillor?
So just in the policy application, it talks about, policy applies to all departments, branches, boards, and agencies falling within reporting entities to the village of Pooskoopi. So would this also pertain to the library and to the museum as well?
Anything that we own or contract.
So would that also not be the school's gymnasium that we use as a community center, potentially, even though it's a school district
Our
asset?
No, it's only our
No.
financial assets.
Okay, so it'd still be the museum, the library, well, the contents of, or
Yes.
a portion of the contents of the library, I guess. Because the building's not ours and only a portion of the books are ours.
That's a difficult, because it's of our user agreement, right?
The next step of this will be coming forward in future on what our obligation actually is. This is just setting up the policy.
Oh,
Okay. Councillor Wall?
Just like hypothetically, if the library needs to throw out a book because it's damaged or whatever, go under this policy, no?
Well, yes, but there's no financial
Yeah.
risk there.
Wait, but that's basically what it's for, they have to report that a village-owned asset has been.
They would not have to report every single book, no. Because
my
the-
gosh,
if-
yeah.
No,
That
there's
would fall
specific
under a completely
criteria
different scope. Yeah,
for
that's a
this.
completely different scope, because like a library sort of runs within that function of itself, so that's controlled by the library.
Yes.
Okay, I was just like,
No, I'm
they're
sorry,
not
they
gonna
use
report
that.
every
How
book.
when they throw away a piece of paper?
Every
In the
sticky
office.
note. No, I meant like whenever village assets are retired or discarded of, we just need a reporting mechanism for that, is what this is for, right?
No,
No, this is the financial obligation to retire the asset.
yes,
So, for instance, asbestos is gonna cost us a lot of money to retire that asset if it's damaged or needs to be destroyed.
yes,
Just putting money aside for that.
Oh, so it's
Saving
the
money.
cost of,
yes.
it's the cost of getting rid of some, okay.
Yes.
Or any contaminated sites on the cleanup of that site.
Much bigger scope.
This makes a lot more sense now.
Oh, okay, yeah, much larger scope. Councillor Rebel.
Would I be correct in my understanding that this process would be identifying assets in need of retirement that may be hazardous in some way, and then we set aside money to be able to remediate these assets appropriately?
Yes.
Okay.
That will be coming
Okay.
in the following months.
Um,
Councillor Rebel.
would there have to be a different I don't mean to get so technical, but would there have to be like a separate account, separate pot of money,
Yes.
separate
Yes.
identification?
Yes, which is being worked on and set up.
And that's now the rule of the government, like, you have to have that, yeah, that's not even up to us as a municipality, that's completely controlled by the elected government.
I wonder if there's also mechanisms to amortize it over time, and if there's, the write-off
That's what we're
capabilities
working on.
over time.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
Okay. Alright, good.
This makes a lot more sense to me now. I thought it was like when we get rid of something, we have to like,
No.
figure out what it was worth before we get rid of it.
And your question about the books makes sense now, though. Alright, all those in favor? Unanimously carried, thank you. Okay, moving on to,
Hold on, so this is just for discussion tonight.
No, they can vote on it if they want.
Okay, so if
okay,
council's okay
Yeah,
voting to
Yes.
adopt it, can somebody make that motion?
I would like to put the motion on the floor that we move forward with adopting asset retirement obligation through Department Finance, policy number 3.8. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Johnston, thank you. Discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Thank you, Ms. Hicks. I appreciate you touching that. Okay, 7.4.
Recommend the council approves travel, registration, and accommodations to attend the North Central Local Government Association Conference in Smithers, BC from May 13th to 16th, 2024.
Seconded by Councillor Rabble. Thank you. Okay,
There's a
before.
second part.
Oh, there's a second.
And the council determines how many will attend and who will attend the conference.
There we go.
I wasn't
Second
done.
seconder on that. Councillor Woodall. There you
Oh, it did.
Okay, before we start this discussion, who would all like to attend the NCLJ? It is held in Smithers this year from May 13th to the 16th. I need to know who would all like to attend. So just raise your hand if you're interested in attending, so I know. 3, 4. Okay. Councillor Woodall, you were not interested in attending.
I've got work scheduled right around those same dates, so.
Okay, perfect. That's what I was looking to find
And
out.
as being self-employed, I'm not eligible for the same reimbursement as you people with real jobs.
I don't really have a real job anymore either, so don't worry.
I also.
Okay, so I have 3 who would like to go. So if council is 4 including myself, sorry. 3 council members and myself who would like to attend. So in looking at this, what council is going to be looking to approve would be the travel and accommodations for myself and 3 other councilors. If council sees fit that it should be myself and 3 councilors, or just myself, or myself, 2 councilors, it is up to you. Those are both of the parts of the motion that are on the floor, and I just want to make that very clear so everybody knows what they're voting on. So, Councillor Woodall.
Is this been budgeted for, and if so, how much has been set aside in the budget for this?
We're working on, the proposed from last year, which was set at 45,000, so you haven't set the budget this year yet.
Yeah. And conferences are going up. I will let you all know. They are not getting cheaper, like nothing else is. They're gonna carbon tax conferences.
That was for all 5 of us, eh?
They're gonna carbon tax the carbon tax. That's coming up at the NCLGA, by the way.
It was all 5 of us.
So that's 45,000 for all 5 of us, yeah, so it's,
Proposed that conference, so that's all.
no, that's
all council expenses.
all council expenses is 45,000.
Oh, the total, yeah, no, I was asking, well, my question was, how much did we spend last year, and what have we got budgeted for this particular conference?
Are you asking a finance question on the spot without any
That's what my question was the
discussion?
first time you.
So they don't have an opportunity to get to that exact number, and they're gonna have to
Well,
bring
if
it
he's
back?
coming up to us and asking us to make a decision, I would assume that there was a rough number, I'm not.
We've been friends for a long
Budget
time.
For all your conferences, we don't actually go in and say, this is
Oh,
how much
okay,
for
so we go-
CLGA, this is
Oh,
how much
okay.
for UBCM, this is how much for other,
So then what are the registration fees for this
we
conference?
don't know yet.
No, it hasn't come out yet.
Registration isn't available yet.
We're being asked to
Yes.
send people to something that we don't know what it costs, and we only have a finite budget to work with. So with that, not knowing what the numbers are potentially gonna be and how that's gonna impact our budget, I would personally recommend that we err on the conservative side when we look at sending 2 people to this. because we don't know what else is coming up for conferences this year with the increase of conferences. If we want to go to say something like a UBCM or something like that this year, or some of these bigger ticket conferences that we didn't get the opportunity to go to last year, right? We need to be very picky and choosy about where we go, and if we only have a budget of say $45,000 total for this, we need to look at where the best bang is for a buck. So with going to NCLGA last year, we all attended it, and it was a good, well-received conference. I don't necessarily see the benefit at this point in time, especially with not knowing what the financials are on it. No, I can't support sending any more than 2 people to this. And that's my 2 cents on it.
Okay, Councilor Wong.
So last year at the NCLGA and at UBCM, there was a lot of really good motions that were made, and the more people we had in that room, the more votes we had. On top of that, within conversations that occurred at the conferences, we have learned about grants and gotten grants based off of that, which have well exceeded the amount that the conferences cost themselves. Just by basically having those conversations and learning about it. So I'm under the impression that this year at the NCLGA and UBCM, we should be sending as many people as possible. I even want you to come.
UBCM, I'd agree with you, but NCLGA, it's one of those things we'd be better to have a bigger voice at UBCM this year, because you guys brought back some really good and did some really good work with that, and that's where majority of your grant stuff came back from last year. And I think we'd be better off spending more money on that and less money on this. Because really at the end of the day, this is local, these are the same people that we run into at every conference. We see these people on a regular basis, a good chunk of these people, at least the mayor does with her interactions. So that's why I think we'd be better off spending that money on UBCM. Because you guys had a better result than that. You had made more contact at UBCM than you did at NCLGA last year.
Councilor Rebel?
I didn't attend NCLGA last year, even though it was in Dawson Creek, because we were being very prudent. I didn't attend we sent nobody to the Natural Resource Forum this year in January. My only intent this year would be, regarding conferences, would be UBCM and NCLGA. I find NCLGA extremely insightful into current policy and legislative developments, current approaches to a variety of different things coming down the pipes, understanding where other people are at and other things that are extremely helpful. Plus, it's the precursor to UBCM. It's essentially all those resolutions being formulated up here to advocate to the north, to give the north a voice that can be transmitted down to Vancouver or Victoria, wherever they hold UBCM this year. And from my interpretation, registration is the only uncertain, but staff have provided an estimate, whereas the others are relatively known. And if I may, myself and Councillor Wall usually travel together, and we're kind of a 2 for the price of 1 in a lot of ways.
You are for certain things like the hotel and if you were to drive down, but you're not 2 for the price of 1 for the registration, the food, or the per diem. So you are in some aspects, but not in all of them, yeah.
Fair enough. The discount coupon.
It's a discount coupon. It's 10% off. Yes, I'm so torn. I do agree with both of you. Conferences are getting more expensive. The UBCM this year is going to cost basically all of the budget we currently have. It is thousands upon thousands of dollars. And the UBCM is incredibly important. That's where all of our minister meetings happen. That is definitely a conference that is beneficial to the village of Pouce Coupe. And you're right, having more voices and more votes within that room is incredibly important. But I am also aware that the NCLGA is sort of a stepping stone to UBCM. So NCLGA, most of the resolutions that come forward and are voted on at the NCLGA sort of get fast-tracked at the UBCM. And so that's where I'm flipping a coin and don't really know. I'm torn between, I wish everybody could attend. I definitely would like to see Councillor Johnson there, as you were unable to attend UBCM last year. I don't know, I'm torn. What do you think?
He takes way better.
I know, but
I
you know.
in my mind, I'm thinking he should go before me because look at the notes he'll bring back.
And we traveled together and 1 hotel room, right?
But your registration, per diem, and food is still separate. You both aren't eating from the same plate, and you're not carrying him in as two people.
Just lick the badge, anyways.
I go in the coat above.
It is difficult to make this current decision because you're right, we don't have the registration fee. And we're not able to look back at the registration fee from last year, which is different because it was held in Dawson Creek.
It was about $650 last year.
Each, eh? Yeah, and it's generally around how much it is, I think. So this 3,058 that you have here, is that an estimate per person?
Yes, it's estimated cost.
So 12 grand for 4.
Well, it just makes me sick. It's just like, they need to stop making these conferences so
That's why I'm laying here, a couple of people.
Well, that's the thing, because UBCM is gonna be pricey, and that would be, after seeing what came back last year, I think that's a better bang for a buck.
Councillor Wall?
I think unifying our voices as northern communities against things like the Land Act changes and the Clean BC plan and the absolute dissolution of all oil and gas production in British Columbia by 2030 is really important. I mean, we can talk about saving $3,000 today, but when nobody has a job in 10 years because of a couple of people weren't there to vote on things, I would rather spend the money and make sure that we have as many voices in that room as possible so that we do continue to have a say going forward. I know it's spending money, I know it's travel, I know that isn't necessarily what, it's not ideally what we'd have to do, but that's where the votes happen. The more people in that room, the more votes we have, the more say we have. And with some of these decisions that are being made in Victoria right now, I'm under the impression we need to do everything we possibly can to make sure that we continue to have a say and keep our jobs. Personally, this year.
Councillor Little?
I think it's worth the cost.
I'm gonna put a motion on the floor. I'm gonna make the motion that we send Councillor Rabel and Mayor Beach to the NCLGA. Because between the two of them, between their notes and their advocacy for the community, I think that's the best bang for our buck. Because Kurt takes good enough notes for everybody. And Danny's up to date on everything that's going on within the community, so I think.
I agree with that too, but.
So I think, as much as I get what you're saying, but I think at the end of the day, I think a better use of our time and effort and money is gonna be the UBCM. And without knowing how much that's gonna cost, I think sending 2 people for this, and we look at what our assets are, and we've got great assets with these 2 councillor and the mayor. So that's gonna be my recommendation, that we send Councillor Rabel and Mayor Beach to the NCLGA.
Before you second that.
I can't second my own
No,
motion.
before anybody, no, well, maybe, I'm making intense eye contact with you. Are you interested in going to the UBCM?
Yeah,
You are.
yeah, I'll go to that one, over this one.
I think it should all be at UBCM.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I also think it should all be at this one this year because of what's coming up.
Okay, so Councillor Whittle has a motion on the floor. Would anybody like to seconded by Councillor Johnston? Thank you very much. So, I'm gonna fall over. Discussion.
I'm gonna laugh at you if you do.
You know what? You're the only person I'd accept laughing at me, so that's good. Councillor Raffle.
It sounds like a budget for 2 people, really. So it doesn't have to be specifically me. And I do appreciate it. But yeah, that's a tough call, because then it's 6,000 instead of 12,000. But
it's half the cost.
And we can go.
And then
all
that
the way
saves-
to UBCM.
But it's also half the votes.
I know, but it saves money for the UBCM, which Councillor Whittle makes a very good. This is what I've been fighting
There's not a
with.
whole lot of dissension in point of view in the north. A lot of the north has the same united view for the most part. There's some offshoots, but for the most part, the north is on the same stream line.
Yeah.
Where we need the votes is when we get down south, where we have all the southern communities and we have that southern perspective. That's where we need the bulk of the northern votes.
Councillor Rattle, do you accept going?
I don't disagree with you, but it's.
I know.
that puts me in a tough
I
spot.
hate to do it to you, but if we're gonna vote on it, I need to know whether or not you're going to be going, or we're gonna have to amend any motion or vote that's then made. So.
I find with the
I know, I've really put you on the spot.
essentially working in tandem with Councillor Wall, has provided a lot of benefits where we can attend multiple different sessions at the same time. So that advantage of us spreading ourselves out. For the public record, we are married, so that makes things less awkward. But anyways, on my end, oh shucks, that's a tough spot.
It'd be me and you spreading each other out.
Yeah.
That sounds so bad.
You said it.
I sure did, sorry.
Excuse me, point of order, we have a motion on the floor.
I know, we're getting there. So, yes, you would go, no, you would not go.
I would like to go, but I'd like to go with Councillor Wall as well. Or 3 members at least.
Okay, so the motion is currently on the floor. Is there any other discussion regarding the motion before we vote?
I will be voting opposed due to the fact that I think more of us should go. I think it's extremely valuable.
I think I'm totally torn on the money thing. Councillor Rebel?
If this motion is defeated, do we defeat anyone going to NCLGA?
I don't know, we gotta see how this motion rolls. All right, I'm gonna call a vote. All those in favor of sending myself and Councillor Rabble down to the NCLGA? All those opposed? I hate to do it to you, but the money is gonna kill us.
You want the opposed noted?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, I'm not gonna say that word again, but we're gonna collaborate, we'll figure it out.
If for the will of the people, I
Yeah.
shall represent. If-
Coming into budget season, conferences is something we're gonna have to take into consideration.
Well, it'd be nice if we had, actually, is it possible to get, we don't know the approximate cost of what NCLG is, or not, UBCM is gonna be this year, do we?
A bloody lot.
Because if we can get an approximate cost from that, then at least we can build backwards from
We
there.
don't know the costs until the month before.
A bloody lot.
May I comment?
Oh, absolutely.
At UBCM this year, we could save money, because I do have a friend that lives down there. We can, like, Councillor Rabble and myself would not be requiring accommodation, which I know is a large portion of the cost of UBCM.
The hotels are like $7.80 a night.
So, keeping that in mind, I would like to make a motion now that I also attend the NCLGA.
Okay, can I get a second on that motion?
Is it biased? I don't know. It's very.
Because I will not be
unsure.
needing the travel, I will not be needing the hotel, and I will not be needing I won't be needing any of this, it'll just be the registration, which saves basically $2,000. And then we have 3 voices instead of 2.
Yes, Councillor Rebel.
If I may, I am willing to pay for our gas and waive our per diems and simply have a
This
hotel
is
and registration.
So unnormal,
Excuse me.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Out
so,
of order.
yeah.
We have a motion and nobody's seconded it yet.
I seconded it.
Sorry, I'm in deep thinking thought. That's all the smoke coming out of my ears.
It's
I don't- Yes, it is an unbelievably tough one, and because we're in the middle of budget talks and we're just beginning all this, and we don't know how much the UBCM is, and the UBCM is the most important, because that's where the minister meetings happen. And that's where all the main votes happen. It is very difficult, so really, I think on this one, we're just gonna have to throw it out to a vote. You're more than welcome to comment.
I'll comment one last time. For the cost on here, I think we could get more grant funding in return, or we could get more information back that will save us more than, even at the maximum cost of $3,058, than it would. It'll save us more than $3,000 in different types of expenditures or grant funding or knowing about certain environmental regulations before they come up, because there are multiple sessions that happen at the same time. There are going to be ministers there are going to be MLAs there, and this is an election year too, which means that they're going to be on full meet everybody mode. I honestly think all of us should go.
I personally think we're beating a dead horse here, but, that's my opinion.
Councilor Rebel, I do appreciate what you had said, but that's like very unusual, and you can't offer to kind of do those things. It's like unheard of. I don't know, it's like a really weird gray area, I'm gonna be honest. So, Ms. Stokes, yes.
I just want to make sure everybody is aware that if they plan to go after wage loss reimbursement, that needs to be worked into there too.
I have no need to pursue such a thing.
So this budget doesn't even include wage loss.
No.
And that comes out again out of that bottom line, out of that
No, but
45,000.
I have no intent to pursue wage loss for NCLG.
I wouldn't either.
There's only 2 conferences that you can pursue wage loss reimbursement, and that's this one and the UBCM. It states that within the policy. It's not for every conference, it's only for the larger ones.
So wage loss is off the table then because everybody said no.
Okay, so we are going to need to vote. Councilor Wall has put a motion on the floor. So all those in favor? All those opposed? Opposed. Okay, anybody would like their opposed noted? Okay, this is something we're gonna have to bring up at budget season, so that this problem does not keep happening.
How do we do budgets into the year that we're already budgeting for? Like, we're already in 2024, we don't have a 2024 budget.
How it works out.
Most other municipalities though do it in late 2023.
I don't know. I don't have the answer to that.
Of course, St. Johnston does right now.
Yeah. Okay, so we are going to move on to, is there a bug in here? You're the second person to do that. Well, Ms. Stokes is not going crazy. We're gonna move on to 7.5 recommendations.
Recommend the council approves the CAO and fire chief to attend the NEST conference in Kamloops from April 12th to 14th, 2024.
Can I get a seconder? Councillor Woodall, thank you. Councillor Wall?
So this conference does have an online portion, and after reading through it on the online there, I don't see any reason to have our CAO attend this conference, because there's no, we're not gonna have a emergency response, like operations center here in Coos, it always be Dawson.
Councillor Woodall, I knew you were gonna say something. I was like,
So-
here we go.
I do believe that it is a good use of our assets and time and effort to send both the CAO and the fire chief, because under the new Emergency Management and Disasters Act, municipalities are required to have emergency management plans that mesh with their neighbors,
Yeah.
right? So Village Police Committee has to have one that meshes and works with the village, or with the city of Dawson Creek, with the regional district and surrounding area. And if our CAO is not aware, and our fire chief, which is also our director of emergency services for the village of Pouce Coupe, they need to be up to date on the most current legislation, because with this new legislation that the provincial government is cramming down our throats and we don't have a choice on, there's going to be regulatory obligations that if aren't met, we could face regulatory fines. So having the CAO and the fire chief up to date on all of this and being able to speak the same language as everybody else, to me makes sense. The regional district just approved 2 new positions for helping to implement this type of stuff that they're going to be going down there to learn about, because it is going to be a legislative requirement that communities implement this kind of stuff. And we found last year with the evacuations and the fires that our staff we basically gave up our entire staff for the better part of a week or no more to go down and help in the ESS. And some of the training that they'll receive down there will actually help to assist that program and to move that program forward. The other part of that too is last year during the evacuations, pretty much the entire Peace Country was pushed to its absolute limit for trained personnel and people that actually knew what the hell was going on, to be able to get ahead of these emergencies and be able to mitigate and deal properly. So again, having this knowledge within our community then lessens the amount that we need to pull on other resources, and actually helps to make us a little more sustainable and gives us that ability to know when we're going for grants and this kind of stuff for implementation, what kind of grants we can go for, and how the entire system works and what future changes are coming, because as our provincial government likes to do, they like to make changes and then tell us after the fact. So that's why I personally think that this would be a really good use of our.
And speaking on what Councillor Roll just talked on, other CAOs are going to be attending this, because like other municipalities, their CAO works with the ESS centers in their neighboring communities. So this will actually give Ms. Stokes an opportunity to meet with other CAOs throughout the province that are also experiencing a lot of the same things we're experiencing up here in the north with the fire seasons and the massive drought that we're heading into. I know the PRD is also sending down their CAO, and so are many of the other municipalities in the surrounding area. Councillor Rebel.
So just for some clarification, it seems as though 2 people, 2,500 each, about 5,000, and then there's this mention of a potential $2,000 grant. Is that known? Is that a likely piece? Is that to be taken into consideration? Like budget for 5, hope for the 2, make it kind of a 3.
Budget 5.
Sorry, just because it's 2,500 each.
Ms. Stokes? As stated in the report, we applied for a grant last year with the city of Dawson Creek. And we were supposed to go to the NEST conference in, I think it was in Prince George last year, we had budgeted for it. But the fire season came on us too quickly, and we weren't able to send anybody down because we were all working in the ESS. So we have that $2,000 available to us to offset the cost of the conference. So it'll cost us approximately $3,000 or less to send both.
Okay, so it's still valid.
Yeah.
Yes, I made sure I checked with Dawson, to see if we could still get that money.
Okay, wonderful.
Can I make a motion to approve the CAO and fire chief to attend the NEST conference in Kamloops?
Seconded by Councillor Woodall, thank you. Discussion? Councillor Rabbit?
Just for clarification, there's 2 pieces that are very similar, the 7.5 and 7.6. I know that's kind of uncouth for me to mention a motion before it's happened, but it seems like it's...
They're completely separate.
Yeah, 7.6 is a level of training.
So there's no actual training occurring in 7.5, it's just people mingling, where it could be conversations with Dawson. Where
So
7.6 is actual training.
So let's not call conferences mingling, because we don't like it when people call our conferences mingling. So let's not throw stones in glass houses. So, yes, so one is just a conference and then one is training.
No, 2 separate things.
This NEST conference will provide training as well.
Ah.
There's going to be on-site training, on-site activities to take us through emergencies services.
Perfect. All right, so let's move to the vote. All those in favor of sending the CAO and our fire chief to the NEST conference? Okay, and opposed? Would you like your opposed noted?
Yes, please.
Very much. Okay. 7.6.
The council approves the CAO and fire chief to attend the ESS, which is the Emergency Social Services, or Emergency Support Services, I'm sorry, Director's Course in New Westminster from May 24th to the 26th, 2024, if they are accepted into the course.
Count, are you seconding your own motion? What are you doing?
No, I want to speak on this, sorry.
Okay, can I get a seconder on that? Councillor Johnson.
Alright,
Councillor Woodall.
So, just to clarify, so this ESS director, right, just so everybody knows, this gives them the ability to have the training to actually help receive and set up all the evacuees as they get evacuated and actually head up that and organize that. I know last year the girl that did it for the city of Dawson Creek was extremely overwhelmed. The regional district is currently, I think, to the same course potentially, is sending employees to potentially go do this as well, so that they can offset it, and this is something that we do have a need for in the Peace Country in order to, augment so that we don't burn people out, we can actually accommodate for the oncoming fire
The new
system.
legislation?
Yes and no.
I think
It
more
says you have to
yes
have
than
people
no.
trained,
Yes.
but it doesn't specify who. Now, my only objection, and I'm gonna play, devil's advocate on this one a little bit, my only objection to this, and I agree the CAO should go, but I question the fire chief attending. Now, the only reason I question the fire chief attending is that when we actually enter into a state of emergency, or we actually go into a state of emergency, the last place our fire chief is gonna be is in the ESS. In all honesty, I think we'd be better off sending in one of the other office staff instead of the fire chief.
Or maybe a
because-
deputy fire chief?
No, in all honesty, I would avoid sending any of the officers from the fire department, at least your chief or stuff, because in the state of emergency, they now fill other roles and they're needed elsewhere.
If we're being evacuated, the fire chief has bigger things to deal with. than-
Yeah. Oh,
So
okay, I
this-
see what you're getting at. Ms. Stokes?
So the reason we suggested the fire chief and myself is because last year, when we got called the second or third time to help with the ESS in Dawson, he actually became the ESS director because Chelsea was so overwhelmed. and he didn't know what he
No,
was doing.
okay.
So, that said, yes, we understand that he probably will be in the field, but he is also the first contact, so he can start it, and he'll know what to do to get it started, and then I can come in with all the other people and take over.
Okay.
That's why and, I mean, all expenses are paid for this course.
Yeah.
Our travel, our accommodations, our meals, we just don't know if we are accepted until April 1st.
Okay. That is a good point.
Yeah, that was my only concern, because I know from other hats that I wear in other organizations that I'm involved in, there's a certain reason I didn't ever pursue the ESS career, because in the state of emergency, I'm usually elsewhere, I'm not in the ESS, so.
Yes, Councillor Wong?
So all the expenses are paid for in this one?
Yes, except for per diem.
Except for per diem, but the per diem covers meals and,
Per diem covers your expenses. So if they cover the meals, any other expenses that we would have.
Yeah.
It's a worst case scenario.
It's just to cover your butt if you end up having to like spend any money or,
okay. So my concern with that is when, like the way the per diem work for council might be different than with staff, but the way it works with us is if the meals are covered, the cost of the meal
Comes
gets
out,
subtracted.
yes. It
So,
works the same way for us.
so there should not be a budget for per diems then, because if it covers the meals and everything else is covered,
Doesn't cover taxis.
no. But I will note, I was just at the LGLA and they provided food for some of the nights and they physically ran out of food. So I had to go and get my own dinner because by the time I got up there was no food left. So the per diem saved my butt.
The other thing to consider too is if we're sending staff that have health concerns for what they can eat or have dietary restrictions and they're not able to eat the food that's provided, then the per diems there that they can, actually eat.
fair enough. My concern though is that this is double dipping because you're, getting it provided for and
Well-
then also being paid because it's not provided. That's my only concern with this.
Yeah, hang on, I'm gonna have to stop you because Councillor Rebel has had his hand up and has been waiting very patiently.
Well, yeah, basically, it was kind of the inquiry as to if it's expense paid, what's the needed per diems, but, and that further information regarding qualifying expenses will come in future emails, because it does sound like all expenses paid situation.
Yeah.
So I am kind of wondering about per diems in this situation.
So, will let's say a scenario happened like what happened to me, they run out of food, the fire chief and our CAO have to go get food, they're gonna have to supply proof that they've had to go out and do that. Like, you can't just be like, oh, well, I decided to go, like, even when that happened to me at the LGLA, I had to be like, yeah, like, they ran out of food, I didn't have any food, so I had to go over here and get food, so I went to a grocery store, and that was good, right? So it's not just like I promise that's, but you also have to realize, like, yeah, there's a whole process to the per diem.
There's also a policy around
And there's
per diem.
Yes, and there's a per diem policy, yes. Councillor Woodall, who was before you, anyway.
No, I was just gonna reiterate that, that money is there, but again, like Mr. said, there's a policy,
Yeah.
so it's not just because there's money sitting there, they can
No.
use it. There has to be justification for it, this just gives us that buffer if needed, it's there.
If needed, it's already been budgeted
So
for.
then Mayor Beach doesn't get a phone call. Mayor, can we eat a hamburger, please?
Okay, Councillor Rabble.
Within that policy, wouldn't there be two approaches? We could do the dispersal of per diem approach, where it's a set rate, versus the expenses reimbursal approach, which would be submission of receipts and exact reimbursement. Like, don't we have two options here?
You have the option to claim a per diem
Mhm.
and take the price of meals off, or submit receipts.
So like, if they're selected as of April 1st, right, let's say that they get into the course, just reiterating what Stokes just said, they'll get like an entire program, just like we do with any courses, and it will say if lunch is provided in the program, that will automatically be minus off of their per diem, because that's an expected. Unless an unexpected happened, like what happened to me, but like, it will automatically be in there and stating like, yep, we're providing breakfast at this time and lunch at this time and dinner at this time. So when this goes to our finance clerk, who's not Ms. Stokes, is a completely separate person, our finance clerk is then responsible to make sure that those amounts are taken off. So, you gotta look at it from that way too, right? Councillor Ball.
The budgeted per diems are quite high at $1,250 for 3 days.
For the two of us.
For two people,
It's still $200 a day.
125.
125 a day.
We have a travel day, we have 3 days there and travel day back.
Mhm.
That's 5 days we're gone. And we're gone over a weekend where we're not getting paid our wage.
So, I'm going to cast it out to the floor, so we're gonna put it to a vote. All those in favor of approving our CAO and fire chief to attend the ESS director's course in New Westminster?
For the sake of safety.
There you go. Okay, unanimous and carried. Thank you very much. All right, moving on to court.
Sorry, who seconded it? Who seconded it? Great, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 7.7. Now James is up. This moment.
I make a motion that council approves the Royal Canadian Legion obtaining a permit for expanded service area for the patio on a permanent basis.
Seconded? Councillor Johnson, thank you. Yes, good?
Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Woodall?
Can we, make it permanent?
I was about to ask the same question.
Yeah, we do have that ability. That doesn't like screw with BC liquor laws.
Ms. Stokes?
Okay, so the whole story is that I got a call from the Legion asking me to go and approve something, but they didn't know what it was I was supposed to approve.
Yeah.
And so then Cindy from the Legion came in and talked to me and said they put this application in last January,
Yes.
but nobody let us know.
Oh, okay,
Nobody
yes.
told us that this application was there, and she said it's sitting there with your name on it, waiting for approval.
But it wasn't sitting here, it was sitting at
No, it's
Leon.
sitting in the BC Liquor Distribution website. For me
Oh.
to go, but nobody sent me anything saying,
Oh.
we need your approval.
Yeah, okay.
So anyway, their current permit is good until June 2024, which is the permit they got during the COVID stuff, when COVID was giving out these permits to use your expanded service areas, which is
Keep
what the
patios
patios,
and
yeah.
stuff.
So, but now they need to get a permanent, permit, and they need to have a resolution from council saying that council is okay with them having their patio. That's what they're looking for.
Okay. Okay, Councillor Rabble?
I would like to declare to council, if it's perceived as a conflict, I am a Puskupi Legion member. Is that a perceived conflict?
You
Which
and
one of us
everybody
is it?
else,
I
man.
think we all are.
Yeah,
Well,
There's no pecuniary,
yeah,
there's no money.
we're not getting any gain
So
from it.
there's no
I
conflict.
think all of us are members
I
of the Legion.
just wanted to declare it because I like the Legion.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
We support that.
Councillor Woodall, did you have a question?
No, I was just gonna say I'm a Legion member.
Yeah. Okay,
Well, keep it squeaky clean.
all right, and so the motion that was on the floor was to approve this, yes?
My motion was that council approves the Royal Canadian Legion obtaining a permit for expanded service area for their patio permit.
Permanently, okay,
I added permanently.
Yeah, and that was already, okay, perfect. All right, all those in favor? Unanimous and carried.
Let's go have some beers on the deck.
That's right.
They're open.
That's right. Right there. There's some fun. All right, moving on to correspondence. So, anybody like to talk on 8.1? Nope. Anybody like to talk on 8.2? Nope. Anybody like to talk on 8.3? Nope. Anybody like to talk on 8.4? Nope. Anybody like to talk on 8.5? Okay. 8.6 recommendation. The council received a letter for the city of Prince George for information. Yes. Okay, seconder? Councillor Rebel, thank you. I wanted to speak on this. I think that this support our troops thing that they want to bring forward to NCLGA, I totally support it. I always see those in Alberta, and I'm so jealous that we don't have them here. And so, with that, they are writing to NCLGA to reach out to the province to support this advocacy work for having this license plate program brought into British Columbia. And I'd like to put the motion on the floor that we also write a letter supporting this program for the province to bring into British Columbia as well. Seconded by Councillor Whittle.
It was third and fourth.
I know, it was everything.
It was unanimous.
Any discussion on that? Do you need any more information on that, Ms. Stokes? No? Okay, all those in favor? Thanks, guys. Okay. Do you want us to accept 1 through 8.1? Nope, I didn't think so. Okay, we're figuring this out. All right. I know, literally 2.5 years later for me and you, what's our excuse? Okay, item number 9, bylaws, 9.1 recommendation.
Recommend that council gives the fourth reading and adopts public notification bylaw number 1051/2022.
Okay, seconder? Councillor Wall, thank you. Discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. A 9.2 recommendation?
That council gives the fourth reading and adopts council remediation and expense bylaw. Remuneration and expense bylaw number 1054-2024.
Remuneration.
Seconded? Remuneration, yeah. Seconded by Councillor Johnston. All those in favor of us not getting a raise? I just want to reiterate, it's not a raise.
Yeah, the 500th time. Yeah.
Unanimous and carried.
There's no discussion, but.
That's why I put it in the thing. I was thinking ahead. Okay,
There's no chance for
Number-
discussion, sorry.
number 10, 10.1 CAO report.
Well, they're black and white. The only thing I would like to point out is that in March, we would like to hold a special meeting between the first and third Wednesday, March 13th, to go over the capital budget and possibly the operational budget, and consultant Mike McPhail will be here for the meeting.
Okay,
On that Wednesday.
do you need a motion for us to do it on that Wednesday?
No?
Nope.
I'm just giving you a heads up.
Giving us a heads up.
If there's a conflict or an issue, I would like to know if somebody can't make it. But we're hoping that that date works for everybody.
Do we need a motion to have a special meeting?
No, you just need to give notice. Don't need a motion.
Call a special, well, we've given, this is our notice, we're asking you if we can have a special meeting on March 13th.
Yeah, there's no,
Karen, write it up.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I just did a big old circle.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, am I good with that? Hang on, I'm going to New York City. When am I going?
The week after.
Well, that's right.
Amazing! The week,
You don't think we've looked at this?
yeah, I know, right? You guys are the bestest.
I'll put a motion in that I go to New York.
Oh, right?
Okay.
You guys
let's
are
vote.
terrible.
Let's not make that joke because it's actually.
I know, right? I'm with him. Okay.
Technically, that's a motion.
Technically, I didn't hear you.
All those opposed?
Okay, anything else you can think of, Ms. Dills? No? Sounds wonderful. I guess we'll all be back on the 13th. Okay, moving on to action items. Lots of green. No, I've been staring at this computer for like 10 hours today, that's why. Anybody have anything they want to talk on action items? Awesome job, lots of green. Thank you ladies very much, you're wonderful. Okay, no capital and special projects, which again, we'll deal with that on the 13th, hence that meeting. So, council calendars. What's your chief up to? Am I going anywhere?
It's not out yet, but April, just so you guys know, because I just found out today, April 3rd to the 11th, I will be out of town. I gotta go, potentially go back to Revelstoke to go teach more first aid.
Well, be that way
Don't worry, I gotta go to Revelstoke.
No, it's not 100%, but March 1st through 8th, I might not be able.
then. Oh, sure, you're gonna get in my suitcase, but I can't get in yours. I see how this whole thing works.
Yeah, we need you here on the 6th for budget.
Oh,
Okay.
never mind.
So
Yeah,
the
you can't.
1st to the 5th, maybe? Maybe I'll change my plan.
Budget's on the 6th of March?
Oh, no, it's April 1st to
We're gonna
8th.
start budgets on the
Yeah,
6th.
start on the 6th, yeah.
April 1st to 8th, not
April 1st.
Oh, April.
April. I'll be in New York.
So I
That's a joke.
don't
Going to
even
be-
start.
Take an oxygen cylinder with you.
Yeah, we're taking over New York City. Okay. Well, it's not even April yet, people. You're all jumping the gun. Okay.
So I thought it was in March, but it's not.
Okay, good. April, perfect. All right, so we're gonna move on to councillor reports. So, Councillor Johnston, what you been up to?
I haven't got much to report. Not much going on with sightseeing, that they just want to change their meetings from quarterly to biannually, and the next one's in June. Other than that, I've been renovating, that's about it.
Gross.
Mm.
Okay, Counselor, who's up after him? Hang on, I gotta go back there. It's Rabble, there we go.
So the only thing would be the library had their annual general meeting in mid-February just last week. I was unable to attend, but from my understanding, it was appointment of board members, and so that's all I have to report for this time.
Okay.
Because other things are in the works.
Sounds good. Counselor.
I'm waiting for
That's it. I'm waiting.
Yeah, there's
Oh, we put like the page to turn and then do the next.
Like a balloon
I
floats
only
down
want to
through
get
the
complete
paper.
things, so I'll just leave it.
We're all just stunned.
Okay. Counselor Wall, what you been up to?
I also don't have much to report, which is, I know, right? We've been busy on the farm, so haven't really been doing a whole heck of a lot outside of that at the moment. But Schnitzel Night is March 8th coming up. That's going to be awesome. The museum is having their first meeting of the year coming up sometime later this week. I still have not been told when.
Oh, they're supposed to invite me to that.
Well, I'll invite you when he tells me.
That'd be great, thank you.
There we go. And as it is National History Week, I have a little fun fact about Puskupi, that we had the first Northwest Mounted Police Station in British Columbia, located just where the Hillcrest Motel is there now, in 1907, and they opened the station due to cattle rustling. Yeah, that's our fun fact of the week for Puskupi. I could have picked another one, but I ran it past everybody. They said it was fine.
Sense.
You know, every time I gotta send my report. Oh, well, thank you for your fact. I kind of like that, actually. I'm just like, we just start doing that, we'll learn so much. Not
we
for one
should do
fact.
Actually, you know what? I'm on the museum thing. I can talk to the curator, and every meeting have a new fact.
You'd be the fact guy. Love it.
That'd be kind of neat for the summer fact of the week.
You know, I'll do it. I'll write it down.
I love it. Fact of the week.
Fact of the week, and I'll message you what, and then it can go on your
I
fact
can
of the
put it
week.
in my news thing.
There we
Love
go.
it. Okay. All right. Okay there, Whittle, what you been doing?
Actually, I met with I missed the last council meeting, was I sick or?
No, you were busy.
You're
Working. Was I working?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I missed the last council meeting, I can't remember why at the moment, but in the meantime, I have met with the fire chief and just got an updated kind of what his plan is for the next little while with the fire department and doing some figuring with him. And then I also had an opportunity to go for coffee with the staff sergeant and the operations sergeant from the Dawson Creek RCMP. So I did bring up with them, one of the issues I brought up with them was continuing patrols within Puskupi, just to kind of keep an eye on things, which they're going to continue to do. And the other one that I brought up with them was an increased presence in the school zones during school hours, especially when the kids are coming and going. And they did said that they would do their best to increase their presence within the school zones and that kind of stuff. And then just encourage that if anybody within the community has any concerns or anything like that, just to make sure you report it to them and reach out. So yeah, that's about all I've got now.
Well, look at you go.
No longer report.
I know you had a longer report.
I had the longest report so far tonight. There we go.
Okay, February 8th, I attended the PRRD meeting. Please see attached report. I know what I forgot to mention on the minutes, Ms. Stokes, was my report, my PRD report and stuff from.
there.
Is it there?
In the minutes?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a bunch of red text and black text.
Oh, well then I'm blind. I'm so sorry. I take that back. Anyway, I attended the PRRD meeting. If we could please attach my PRD report to the minutes of this meeting, that would be great. Thank you very much. I met with the new director of the Dawson Creek Chamber of Commerce, and I was able to pass on some Puskupi swag to him with appreciation from the staff to give out at the upcoming Chamber of Commerce conference in Grand Prairie. And this gives us an opportunity to highlight our community in the local area. So he's going to go and hang out swag and tell them all the amazing things about Puskupi. If I've known a fact, I've given him one. Let me tell you.
Well, there's more than one fact about Pus.
February 13th, I met with the Area D Director with our CAO just to go over some collaboration opportunities in our area. On February 15th, I met with Iron Wolf Athletics, the director, to discuss needed upgrades to the Pooskabee baseball diamonds and collaboration opportunities for this summer. That just reminded me of something. On February 16th, I met with the West Moberly Lake First Nations through the PRRD to discuss the new TLE agreements and discuss the regional growth strategy. So again, I sent out a report about that. Ms. Stokes, you don't need to attach that one to the minutes because that's a PRRD thing, so don't worry about it. February 20th, I met with Duncan. I don't actually know Duncan's last name. Duncan from the Dawson Creek Art Gallery. Thank you. To discuss collaborating on local art and culture and stuff within the community. So I'll be bringing forward something about that later. And then today I attended the special meeting at the PRD, which is all budgets. I mean, I stared at budgets for 4.5 hours. I know, I almost died. You have no idea, cross-eyed. Yeah, so that's what I've been up to, and I've totally sent you my report off, so you've got it. So that was the that you guys always hear. I'm really bad for doing, sorry. Okay, so now we are going to move into question period. Nobody's here. We need to get like dummies that sit back there, so I can be like, how do you guys doing?
A pre-recorded question.
I know, right? So we're moving on to number 13, in camera. Who's reading it?
Can I make a motion before we go down to have a 5-minute recess?
Yes.
So we'll go like,
Yeah.
stop or-
Yeah, so we'll like, because I also have to go pee, like, no idea.
So do we need to?
So is the lineup?
Yeah, honestly.
You're still being recorded.
That's fine, they can know I've been holding it this whole time.
Oh.
So, okay, let's go. Number 13, somebody read the in camera.
Make a motion that the council move the in-camera as per section 9A, C, and M.
You're gonna read the whole thing?
Yeah. Personal information will identifiable individual holds or is being considered for a position as an officer, employee, or agent of the municipality or another position appointed by the municipality. Labor relations or other employee relations. A matter that, under another enactment, is such that the public may be excluded from this meeting.
Seconder? Councillor Whittle, thank you. All those in favor, or discussion? All those in favor? We can't really even talk about it. Are you opposed?
Going into camera.
I have no idea why we're going to camera.
Well, for all the reasons that we just said. We can't really give much more than that.
Can't read it again.
No.
No, that's a lot of things that I have no context about.
Yeah, we can't really
We'll
give.
know when we go to in camera.
Yeah. So, are you opposed?
Yes.
Okay, would you like your opposed noted?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. We are going to take let's make it 10 minutes. It sounds like there's a lineup. And we'll do that.